September 4th, 1993. A young MIT student pushes $10,000 across a Vegas blackjack table. His hands don't shake anymore. They used to, back when $1,000 felt like his entire tuition. The dealer flips his cards. 17. The count in his head says, hit. The pit boss is 3 feet away, watching. One wrong move exposes everything. 32 other MIT students currently scattered across Vegas casinos, all counting cards. He taps the table. The card slides out. An ace. He wins. The pit boss reaches for his radio. But here's what nobody knows yet. The Griffin Detective Agency has been tracking them for 3 weeks. The MIT nerds have beaten the house for $10 million over 14 years. But what will happen now? How did college kids outsmart Vegas? Why did they keep playing after that? Las Vegas, September 4th, 1993. 23-year-old Kevin Lewis pushes $10,000 forward at table 17. The chips tower 8 inches high, black hundreds that took 6 months to earn. His hands don't shake anymore. They did the first time, back when $1,000 felt like risking his MIT tuition. Now he controls $400,000 of investor money, and tonight's play determines whether his team keeps their edge or loses everything to the Griffin Detective Agency, the casino industry's card counter hunters who've been tracking them for 3 weeks. Across the pit, Mike Aponte slouches at a $5 table in his Red Sox cap, nursing a Budweiser he hasn't touched. He counted 312 cards through this shoe, and the true count just hit +8. Mike scratches his left ear twice, the signal. Kevin has 4 seconds before the pit boss reaches his table. The dealer, Rosa, flips Kevin's cards. Queen of Hearts, 7 of clubs. She shows a 6. Textbook scenario, the dealer busts 42% of the time from a 6 when the deck runs hot. Kevin knows these percentages better than his own phone number because Bill Kaplan drilled them into his skull 10,000 times in a Cambridge basement. But knowing math and betting someone else's $10,000 are different animals. Table maximum, Kevin announces, his Boston accent buried under a practiced California drawl. The pit boss, whose badge reads Martinez, stops 3 feet away. His eyes narrow. Kevin's seen that look 17 times this month alone. Martinez whispers into his sleeve, and security's watching now. Kevin's sitting on 17 against her 6. The count says hit. His gut says hit. But Martinez is studying his face like he's memorizing it for a police sketch. One wrong move exposes the entire MIT operation. 32 players across 4 casinos tonight, all connected, all counting, all one phone call away from permanent banishment. Kevin taps the table. Rosa's hand hovers over the shoe. The time dilates and the card slides across green felt in slow motion. An ace, 18. Rosa flips her whole card, a 10. 16. She draws again. 10. Bust. Kevin wins $10,000 in 7 seconds. Martinez steps closer, his hand reaching for his radio. Nobody expects what's going to happen with these guys. How did a mechanical engineering student from Exeter, New Hampshire, end up in a mental chess match against Vegas's sharpest security minds? And how did MIT nerds turn card counting from bar trick to million-dollar enterprise? Cambridge, Massachusetts, January 1979. MIT's building. 54 reeks of chalk dust and ambition. Room 100 holds 12 students for a course that shouldn't exist. How to gamble if you must. Professor Stewart teaches it during the independent activities period, MIT's Anything Goes January term. The syllabus promises to explore the mathematics of gambling systems. What it actually teaches is how to legally rob casinos. J.P. Massar sits front row, wire-rimmed glasses reflecting probability equations. He's 28, pursuing his master's in computer science, and he's just discovered Edward Thorp's Beat the Dealer, the 1962 book that proved blackjack's vulnerability to card counting. Thorpe, an MIT professor himself, used an IBM 704 computer to calculate that tracking high cards versus low cards shifts the house edge from plus 0.5% to minus 1.5% in the player's favor. Small margin, but real. JP runs his own simulations on MIT's PDP-10 mainframe. After 100,000 hands, his program confirms Thorpe's math. A disciplined counter wins $12.50 per hour at a $25 minimum table, assuming perfect play, adequate bankroll, and no casino interference. That third assumption would later prove fatal. May 1979. JP loads 7 friends into a rust-eaten Dodge van. Dave, an electrical engineering major, brings $600 he earned tutoring calculus. Sarah, the only woman, contributes $400 from her teaching assistant stipend. Together, they scrape together $3,000, their entire bankroll. Atlantic City just legalized gambling 14 months ago, and New Jersey law prohibits casinos from barring skilled players. The paradise for card counters, in theory. Resorts International Casino, 3 a.m., their second night. JP keeps the count at table 3, while Dave watches table 7. The plan is, when Dave's count hits plus 5, he signals JP to jump in with big bets. It's simple. Dave's count reaches plus 6. He adjusts his glasses, the signal. But JP misses it, focused on his own negative deck. Dave tries again, dropping his chips, but it's too subtle. By the time JP notices, the shoe's half depleted and the edge has evaporated. Sunday morning, they count their remaining cash in the Burger King parking lot, $1,100. They've lost 63% of their bankroll in one weekend. Sarah quits on the spot. Dave transfers to Stanford that September. The dream of beating Vegas with math dies in a fast food parking lot off the Atlantic City Expressway. Except JP won't quit. He knows the math works. He's proved it on paper and silicon. The failure was execution, not theory. He needs discipline. He needs leadership. He needs someone who's actually beaten the house. November 27th, 1979. Fortune Cookie Restaurant, Mass Avenue. JP explains his team's failure to his friend over beef lo mein. At the next table, a clean-cut guy in a Harvard sweatshirt perks up at the words, "card counting." He leans over. "You talking about blackjack?" Bill Kaplan doesn't just talk about blackjack, he conquered it. Fresh out of Harvard, class of '77, Kaplan turned down Harvard Business School to play cards professionally. His resume: 9 months in Vegas, $1,000 transformed into $35,000, running a 12-person team until casino heat scattered them to Europe. Now he's back for his MBA, but the game still calls. JP sees opportunity, Kaplan sees potential. Over cooling tea, they sketch a business plan on napkins. If you enjoyed learning about these genius gamblers who beat Vegas at its own game, hit subscribe, because what happens next makes Ocean's 11 look like amateur hour. 2 questions emerge from that late-night meeting. Can you really run a card-counting operation like a Fortune 500 company? And what happens when MIT's brightest minds get $1 million bankroll to attack every casino in America? Bill Kaplan's apartment, December 1st, 1979. Forget everything you think you know about card counting. Kaplan stands before a makeshift blackjack table, green felt stapled to plywood. 5 MIT students sit cross-legged on his floor. "You're not gamblers anymore. You're employees of a quantitative hedge fund that happens to operate inside casinos. His terms are non-negotiable. First, everyone uses the same counting system, high-low, where 2 to 6 equals +1, 7 to 9 equals +1 0, and 10 ace equals -1. No variations, no creativity, no ego. Second, every player logs every session, time played, hands seen, bets placed, profits earned. Data drives decisions. Third, before anyone touches team money, they pass Kaplan's checkout, 2 hours of perfect play under observation. One mistake and you're out. Tommy Chang, a sophomore from Palo Alto, objects. I've been using the Omega-2 system for a year. It's 4% more accurate than high-low, and 400% more likely to cause errors under pressure, Kaplan counters. I've tracked 10,000 hours of play. Complex systems increase mistakes by a factor of 3 after hour 4. We're not building spacecraft. We're building McDonald's, standardized, scalable, and profitable. Training runs 6 hours nightly for 8 weeks. Kaplan transforms MIT's East Campus Lounge into a casino floor. Multiple tables, rotating dealers, planted distractions. Players practice until card counting becomes autonomic, like breathing or blinking. Sarah Martinez, different from the Sarah who quit in '79, can maintain a running count while reciting the Fibonacci sequence backward. Johnny Huang counts through a deck in 18.3 seconds while solving differential equations. The real innovation isn't counting, it's team play. Kaplan assigns 3 roles. The spotters, flat bet table minimum while counting, never varying their bets to avoid suspicion. When the count exceeds +4, they signal. The controllers, mid-level players who verify hot decks and bet moderately. And the big players, the closers who swoop in with maximum bets only when the edge hits 2% or higher. No individual could sustain this bet spread without getting banned. But a coordinated team? They are invisible, or so they thought. August 1st, 1980. They incorporate as Strategic Investments Limited Partnership. The initial funding is $89,000 from 19 investors, including a Boston real estate developer who contributes $37,000 after Kaplan shows him 18 months of session logs, proving consistent 154% annual returns. The prospectus projects $170 profit per hour of play, assuming 30 hours weekly across 5 players. Conservative estimates, Kaplan knows they'll exceed them. Labor Day weekend, 1980. Atlantic City's Tropicana Casino. Today is the first official team deployment. Andy Block works table 2 as spotter, betting $5 hands for 3 hours straight. His count hits +7 and he calls the cocktail waitress, "Gin and tonic, extra lime," code for a hot deck. Jeff Ma, playing the drunk frat boy big player, stumbles over within 90 seconds. He throws down $500, wins 4 hands straight, and cashes out $3,000 richer before security notices. The total team profit that weekend was $23,000. The investors receive their first quarterly statement showing 89% returns. By December 1981, they're running 3 separate teams across Atlantic City, Vegas, and Reno. Monthly profit averages $89,000. The IRS starts asking questions about MIT students depositing $30,000 cash into checking accounts. Kaplan creates a paper trail, fake consulting contracts, borrowed social security numbers, elaborate money laundering schemes that would make Tony Soprano proud. March 1984. The team operates 35 active players with a combined bankroll of $350,000. They've developed 17 different big player personas, from Texas Oil Air to Armenian arms dealer. Mike Aponte once convinced a pit boss he was a Colombian coffee magnate by speaking fluent Spanish and tipping dealers with coffee beans he claimed were worth $1,000 per pound. The boss comped his room and never suspected the MIT junior from Jersey was counting every card. The numbers are staggering. Between 1979 and 1989, they run 22 separate investment partnerships, and not one loses money. December 1983 alone generates $179,000 profit. But someone makes an error, and not even in the casino. A player named John Chang forgets a paper bag containing $125,000 cash in a MIT classroom. A janitor finds it, assumes drug money, and calls the campus police. Their lawyer retrieves it after explaining these kids are professional gamblers, not dealers. Because when you're making so much money that losing six figures is a funny anecdote, you've transcended normal success metrics. How long before casinos realize dozens of MIT-aged kids winning millions isn't coincidence? And what happens when the house discovers their playbook? Foxwoods Casino, Connecticut, October 10, 1992. Semyon Dukach watches the dealer shuffle 8 decks into a shoe the size of a shoebox. Foxwoods opened 4 months ago, the largest casino in the Western Hemisphere, 340,000 square feet of virgin territory. No player database, no shared intelligence with Vegas, and no heat. Yet, Strategic Investments raises $1 million for this opportunity, their largest bankroll ever. 47 new players recruited from MIT, Harvard, and Princeton. Kaplan implements military-grade operational security. Players travel separately, stay in different hotels, never acknowledge each other on the floor. They use encrypted pagers, remember this is 1992, to coordinate. The code 747 means abort mission. 911 means jackpot table, send backup. Katie Lilienkamp, a mechanical engineering senior, becomes their best big player. 5'2", blonde, she plays the dumb sorority girl so convincingly that dealers explain basic strategy to her while she's calculating true counts. On November 14, 1992, she wins $73,000 in 6 hours at Caesar's Palace. The pit boss buys her champagne and offers a penthouse suite. She accepts, orders room service on their dime, then sneaks out at 4 a.m. with the cash in a Prada bag she bought with casino winnings. The team develops advanced techniques beyond basic counting: shuffle tracking, memorizing clumps of high cards through the shuffle; ace sequencing, predicting when aces will appear based on shuffle patterns. Mike Aponte pioneers Guerrilla BP, where he plays drunk and oblivious, while spotters literally tell him every move through elaborate signals. He wins $184,000 one weekend, while appearing so intoxicated that security helps him to his room. May 1993, Las Vegas. The team executes the big hit, a coordinated assault on 6 casinos simultaneously. 32 players, $400,000 starting bankroll, 72 hours non-stop play. They implement a new technique called rat-holing, secretly pocketing chips to hide winnings. Andy Block stuffs $5,000 chips into his socks, underwear, anywhere security won't search. By Sunday night, they've extracted $1,400,000 from Vegas, the single most profitable weekend in card counting history. But success breeds sloppiness. Players start flaunting wealth on campus. BMWs appear in MIT parking lots. Spring break trips to Monaco. Kevin Lewis dates a model he met at the Bellagio who thinks he's a day trader. The team throws a party at the Boston Harbor Hotel penthouse, $50,000 for one night, paid in cash. Someone jokes they should hire Ocean's 11 to rob themselves. Griffin Investigations takes notice. Founded by Robert Griffin in 1967, they maintain the Griffin Book, a database of advantage players shared among casinos. Their investigators are former FBI, CIA, ex-military intelligence. They notice a pattern: young players, East Coast addresses, similar betting patterns, and astronomical win rates. Detective Andy Anderson gets assigned the case. His specialty: identifying and destroying professional gambling rings. September 4th, 1993. The Mirage. Remember Kevin Lewis from before? His $10,000 hand wasn't random. Griffin agents have tracked him for 3 weeks. They know he stays at the Maxim under Kevin Labonte. They know he flies US Airways from Boston every second Friday. They've photographed him with 6 other suspected counters. Martinez, the pit boss, isn't just watching, he's building a case. After Kevin's win, Martinez makes a call. Not to security, to Beverly Griffin, Robert's daughter who now runs the agency. "We've got another one. Asian kid, maybe 23, just took us for 10 grand. Beverly pulls up her database. Kevin's photo appears alongside 31 other MIT students, and she smiles. Tomorrow, she'll distribute an updated Griffin book to every major casino in Nevada. The MIT Blackjack Team has 12 hours left before their faces become the most wanted in Vegas. Can the team escape Vegas before Griffin shuts down every casino in America? And is there any disguise good enough to fool the eye in the sky? Atlantic City, November 28, 1993. John Chang sits at third base, table 9, up $47,000 for the night. 2 security guards approach from behind. Not the rent-a-cops who check IDs, these are different. Earpieces, bad suits, the walk of ex-cops. "Mr. Chang, please come with us." The back office smells like cigarette smoke and fear. On the desk is his MIT yearbook photo, class of '85, 3 surveillance stills from tonight, a printout from Griffin Investigations listing 17 aliases he's used. The security chief, a former Newark detective named Castellano, doesn't mince words. "We know who you are. We know your whole crew. MIT Blackjack Team, right?" They show him the evidence. 63 photos of team members, home addresses, flight records US Airways somehow leaked, phone records showing calls between players. They even have his real name on a Bank of Boston account where he deposited $892,000 over 3 years. The IRS is interested. So is the FBI, interstate commerce, wire fraud, conspiracy charges if they push it. "You're not under arrest," Castellano clarifies. "Card counting's not illegal. But you're now trespassed from this property. Lifetime ban. Same for your friends. We've shared this with every casino from here to Macau. You're done." Chang's not alone. That same weekend, 18 team members get banned across 6 states. Katie Lilienkamp gets escorted out of the MGM Grand mid-hand. Mike Aponte's detained at McCarran Airport. Casino security alerts TSA about the $200,000 in cash he's carrying. Semyon Dukac tries entering Caesars in disguise, beard, glasses, fat suit, adding 40 pounds. Facial recognition software IDs him in 12 seconds. December 2nd, 1993. There is an emergency team meeting. Bill Kaplan addresses 43 members. The score is clear: 15 players banned in Vegas, 12 in Atlantic City, 8 in Connecticut. Griffin Investigations has their playbook, every signal, every persona, every technique documented in a 47-page report selling for $10,000 to casinos worldwide. The Taiwanese investor who contributed $400,000 wants his money back. The IRS is auditing 6 players, and Harvard Business School threatens to expel Kaplan for conduct unbecoming. "We beat them for 14 years, Kaplan says. "We took approximately $10 million from casinos legally, mathematically, brilliantly. But the war's over. They won't forget our faces. Technology killed our edge, facial recognition, shared databases, interstate cooperation. We're fossils." Strategic Investments votes to dissolve. The final tally is $3,700,000 returned to investors on $1 million invested. Players split $2,800,000 in profits. Not bad for a bunch of nerds with a calculator and a dream. But 7 players won't quit. They form a splinter group, the Amphibians, recruiting fresh faces from MIT's class of '97. They develop new techniques. Team members undergo minor plastic surgery. They use Cherokee Nation casinos beyond Griffin's reach. They pioneer online gambling when it launches in 1996, and by 1998, Amphibians run a $2 million bankroll. The Reptiles, another splinter, take a different approach. They move operations overseas: Macau, Monaco, London. Asian casinos don't use Griffin's database. European gambling laws favor players. Johnny Huang builds a network spanning 12 countries, earning $400,000 annually until 2003, when Interpol starts sharing gambling intelligence. January 1st, 2000. The new millennium kills the dream. Continuous shuffle machines eliminate counting. RFID chips track every bet. Biometric scanners read fingerprints at high-limit tables. The MIT Blackjack Team's descendants fold one by one. Mike Aponte becomes a professional poker player. Jeff Ma consults for the Houston Rockets on analytics. John Chang runs a restaurant in Boston that doesn't accept credit cards, cash only, naturally. The MIT Blackjack Team proved you could beat the house with math, discipline, and teamwork. They turned gambling into a science and casinos into ATMs. For 15 beautiful years, the nerds won. Vegas spent millions developing technology to stop them. Gaming regulations changed in 7 states because of them. They inspired a book, Bringing Down the House, and a movie, 21, that made card counting mainstream. But here's what the movies don't tell you. Beating blackjack was never about the money. It was about proving the impossible was possible, about showing that intelligence and systems beat luck and intuition. About a bunch of kids from Cambridge who looked at the world's most powerful industry and said, "We can solve this." They did. Then the house solved them back. Evolution in action, predator and prey, locked in an eternal dance where the only guaranteed winner owns the casino.